we wanted to, actually talk about, a major topic that we got going on, which is literally how do you bounce back, right? And those of you who are with the RU crew, the relatively unknown crew, you know what I mean, right? When you fall down, we fall down, but we get up. I tried. No. But anyways, if you ever, I tried. Singing is not my thing, but I definitely gave it a try.
That was singing.
That's what you call it? Because you raised your eyebrows.
Yeah.
You said that was singing. So, anyways, if you've ever fallen down, right, we want to talk to you today about how do you rebound, how do you come back, right? How do you utilize that resilience to get back up on the horse and ride again in life? So we'll be talking about that today. We also have an Edge energy shot later on, and get ready, buckle up, as Carrie always says, and get ready.
Because we driving.
That's it.
You riding.
Relatively unknown. Let's get it. Let's get it. What is going on, good people? We are back with another episode of Relatively Unknown. My name is Philip.
And I'm Carrie.
And this is the podcast for relatively unknown people who are doing awesome and amazing things. Listen, if you are on the cutting edge, if you are on the cusp of breakthrough and really getting to the place that you want to be, this is the podcast for you.
And listen, if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, we need you to do so, like right now.
True.
And we ask you to share, because as you share the podcast, we have the opportunity to reach more people and make a greater impact on those who are relatively unknown.
That's right.
Just like us.
That's right. And the cool thing about the podcast is, like, we're literally sharing tips, tools, information that's going to help catapult people into their future, into their destiny. So I'm excited about the session today.
Yeah, it's super exciting, as always.
So listen, before we even jump into anything, we got to start by just, doing a quick little checkup.
Yeah.
What's going on, girl? How you doing this week?
Well, why don't you let me ask you first?
Oh, well, do it. Do it for me then. Do it.
So how was your week last week?
The week was pretty good. I mean, just being able to kind of get things back rolling again, have basketball games. But I think the bigger thing was literally just being able to get the ball back rolling with my training classes and all that other stuff. So back in action with that. I didn't have any Kai episodes this week, so that's a cool thing. I didn't have any dogs that ran away or none of that. So
no running away dogs.
No running away dogs this time.
Well, speaking of basketball, we did have a very exciting and eventful Friday evening.
Yes.
As all of the Pepperell High School teams won.
Yeah, everybody won,
JV,
which was awesome.
Girls and boys. And the boys won with like 6 seconds left.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Evan hit that three. He had like ice in his veins or whatever. He was just knocking them down.
I'm telling you. And sometimes it's real when you can just go and experience things. Those of you who have checked us out before. Hey, if you haven't checked us out, make sure you go check out some of our previous videos.
Yeah.
Look at the Edge Life and check out what we are doing, because we're always doing something crazy.
Yeah,
we're always doing
we're
something
just
crazy.
real. We're just transparent. We're just, we just put it out there.
That's it. That's
right.
it.
Right.
So how about you, lady? Tell me about, your week. What's been going on with you?
Like the week was pretty cool. It was the first full week back in the swing of things for school as the spring term began. And so, I had some quizzes and assignments and things like that due. So it's doable.
Yeah.
It's a lot of reading. I think I had 4 chapters just in one class alone. So yeah,
that's a whole bunch
of reading. A lot of reading.
But you're almost there.
I'm getting so close.
And I'm really excited about. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Like for real. Like I'm really proud of like watching you, because I haven't seen somebody work as hard as you in a long time, and I'm watching you grinding and doing your thing.
When it's important to you, you work for it. You'll work
true.
at it.
That's true.
If it matters, you'll put the work in. You'll put the effort in. So, and if you really feel that you're passionate and you feel like you're called to something, like it's easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I like to achieve highly, but I've tried this time to take some of the pressure off. I don't have to be perfect. Just keep making progress.
Right.
Even though the pressure to self-imposed pressure to
Right.
be perfect occasionally rises up. Like, just give it your best.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk about that on one of these episodes.
Yeah.
You know, about how do you maintain and how do you balance that? Because I know sometimes it can be difficult, especially when somebody like yourself who's wired the way that you are. You want things to be right.
Well, that but you want it in every aspect of your life too,
Right.
and so that makes it even more difficult because you feel the pressures to not let one area of your life kind of go by the wayside.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So just trying to balance it all.
And I think that's a big thing, trying to balance it all. Speaking of balance, let me ask this: how many of you inside of the comments box have a challenge like balancing life? You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like you got work, you got family, you got the children, you got extracurricular activities and all those kinds of things. If you have trouble balancing life, just in the comments box right now, go ahead and put the word balance. Let me say it again, put the word balance inside of the comments box. And if you feel it in your shana, let us know where you are having trouble balancing at, because I think that's something that we definitely want to talk about as well.
Yeah, I think we leave out, care for ourselves a lot of times.
Oh man, I think that's a big one. Self-care.
But, you can't give from an empty place. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your tank filled up. And, sometimes it requires you to ask for things that you wouldn't otherwise, ask for.
Yeah.
Ask for some additional help. If you've taken on something else, you're going to have to offload something.
Yeah.
To keep the balance.
Something's going to have to come off.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being able to just, use that magic word and say no. Right.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I was sharing with somebody, I said, well, listen, if you're going to say yes to this, what are you going to say no to? Right. Because something, to keep the balance, something is going to have to go away. So if you're saying yes to something, what is the thing that you're ultimately going to say no to? Family, what's going on? That is friends and family. That's you. Listen, I hope that you are enjoying today's episode of the podcast. And y'all, we got something amazing to share. As Carrie and I are continuing to grow this relatively unknown platform, we realized that we needed a space, a community for people to come together, to learn, to grow, to catapult into your destiny. We got it. It's called the Runway. And you need to be there. It's an absolutely free community to you. So listen, if you feel stuck, if you know that there's more, if you have something on the inside that you want to contribute to other people, this is a community for you. Do me a favor right now. Go to the link in the bio called the Runway. Go ahead, click on that link inside of the bio. Once you click on that link, it'll take you to the Runway. Join today. It's absolutely free to you. Let's go, man. What are you waiting for? Join the Runway. Let's go.
So in this segment of Did You Know?
Did you know? That's what we need. We need to be like, did you know? Did you know? Did you know?
I don't think my voice does that, but you might be able to put something fancy over it. It's a relatively unknown fact.
Okay, tell us more about it.
Okay. It's may not be as exciting as last time when I went to Helen Gasoline Draws on the roller coaster.
If y'all have not seen that one, y'all make sure you go.
I can't even you just have to see it. You have to see it. So let me ask you.
Okay.
In the 1960s, there was a item that was invented. It was
in the 1960s. Okay.
It was the most popular stress relief item given to the security team in the White House by the National Security Advisor, George Bundy. Do you know what that item was?
1960s. I don't know. I'm going to guess the pet rock.
The pet rock.
Yeah,
I think the pet rock was after this, maybe in the 70s.
I don't know when it was.
When the pet rock was, put it in the
let us
comment
know.
section.
Let us know.
So in the early 1960s and 1965, in fact, I think a chemical engineer named Norman Stingley, Stingley, accidentally created a plastic that he couldn't stop from bouncing.
From bouncing.
Whammo purchased this product, renaming it the Super Ball.
That little bouncy ball thing.
So I don't know if anybody collected these things, but I had a whole collection of, I call them bouncy balls. They are not made out of rubber. They are actually made out of plastic. So Whammo purchased it, and it became the world's best-selling bouncy ball. It's made from a compound polymer Zectron, which gives it that supreme elasticity. More than 20 million Super Balls were sold in the 1960s.
Wow.
At the craze's height, Whammo was producing 170,000 balls a day.
Wow.
170,000 Super Balls were made a day.
Wow.
By Whammo, and they were so popular that George Bundy, the national security advisor to President Lyndon Johnson, purchased them for his staff as stress relievers.
Can you imagine like all the security guards walking around like bouncing these balls and they're going every which way?
I can't.
And then they're probably
chasing them. Can you see like security like? Yeah. I mean, if you just want to draw security away at the White House, just throw some bouncy balls.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of what I was saying. I was like, how is that a stress reliever when that's a big distraction? When I guess
just bouncing it. But do you know how high the highest bouncing ball? The highest Super Ball can bounce.
I'm gonna say 24 feet.
75 feet, and it's called the Sky Ball.
How far is 75 feet?
That's pretty high. So you know,
do you need like a baseball glove to catch it or something? Like because that's
I don't know,
because those balls weren't that big. I mean, but this had to be like a baseball size, right?
I don't know. I don't know how big the Sky Ball is, but it's the highest bouncing Super Ball. It's called the Sky Ball, and it bounces 75 feet high into the sky. But you know that no matter how hard you throw the ball, it will only, no matter how hard, it can only return back 70% of the kinetic energy you put into it because of the plastic. It has an absorption.
Listen.
But here's the cool thing.
What?
Remember what I said in the very beginning sentence and describing it?
I don't remember. Do y'all remember?
The chemist accidentally made it.
Oh, so it was an accident.
He accidentally made it.
How do you accidentally make that, though?
He just accidentally made a plastic that couldn't stop bouncing.
I wonder what he was making. Like, what was he really making? You
I don't know what he was working towards. But you know, it makes me think about what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And having a bounce back. Sometimes it's not anything that you do on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just something that, happens.
Yep.
You fall down and you just get up.
20-second timeout. That's called a transition, by the way. And she just kicked butt in that transition. I don't know if you saw it right, but that was a killer transition.
Thank you.
Hey, it's almost as if you
I've done this before.
Yeah, you've done this before, time too, huh? So let's talk about it, lady. I mean, bouncing back. Yeah. I know. Even in the business world and things like that, we both experience having to bounce back from situations. Sometimes things aren't always the way that you want them to go or you expect them to go. And I know it's difficult and challenging, especially for those of us who are in our professional realm and we're trying to get our professional on. When you're young, you dream of life being a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And I'll note it. Let me rewind back for a second. Growing up, it was like you want to be married, you want to have the 2 children, the white picket fence.
And then like 2.5 or 1.5.
I don't know.
Some odd number you can't really have.
But let me give you the important number: $100,000. That's for whatever, I don't know why.
That's what you wanted to make a year.
That's what, like, when I was young.
Wanted a comma.
That was the number. You know what I'm saying? And
six digits.
Like if you got to 6 figures, if you had the house, if you had the car, and you're striving up the corporate ladder or whatever ladder it was, trying to get to this mystical place. And when you got to that place, you were successful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You had arrived.
You have arrived. All of those things, right? So it was almost as if there were so many people, my colleagues, my friends, everybody where everybody was striving to get to that place. And again, along the journey to that place, there was bumps and bruises, man.
Yeah. And then you accidentally make a plastic that won't stop bouncing, or accidentally like go beyond the 2.5 children and make 5 of them.
Yeah, we did that. We kind of went a little further, a little bit. Can you high five me on that? That's it? That's a girl, that's a good thing
now
right there.
Just practice.
Yeah. You telling all the business. Ain't nothing wrong with a little practice, y'all. Ain't nothing wrong with a little practice. But listen,
even if you're a franchise player like me, I'm a proven performer.
With 5 kids, you are.
Anyways, we might want to change the subject.
You kind of Jordan-esque, but anyways, 23 girl. Hey. So listen. So let's talk about it. I know for you, resilience has been an amazing thing.
Yeah.
You have become the Heyman of jobs. Are you a relatively unknown person who has an amazing story to tell, who has something that they want to share with an audience or a group? Or you have something that you know is going to push people to their next level in life? Well, we are looking for you as we are looking for guests for our guest mastermind segment here on the Relatively Unknown podcast. If that is you and you believe you got something that you really want to share or teach the people, do us a quick favor. Inside of the description box, go ahead and click guest, fill out the form there, and then somebody from our team will be in contact with you soon. Listen, let's share something amazing with the people. And for those of you who don't know, that is definitely an In Living Color reference. But the Heyman family, which was a Jamaican-born family, they had all kinds of jobs. They were like, I was a fisherman, I was a salesman, I was right. And if you didn't have 5 jobs, they were like, what is wrong with you, man? You only have 5 jobs.
You make me sound like that I've like jumped from jobs. I haven't.
No.
I've been loyal and faithful and committed to things for long periods of time.
You have been.
I think the shortest was maybe 4 years.
Right.
But I've done different things, odd things, and the thing that I've come to realize is that sometimes what seems to be a setback is a setup for your comeback.
That's good.
Or your come up.
That's good. That's good.
And, resilience will allow you to recreate yourself. So that you can bounce back.
Right.
And so sometimes all you need is a little newness.
Yeah.
And sometimes those setbacks or those fall downs are when you become disappointed or disenfranchised with something that you thought was it.
Right.
But then, years down the road, you realize like there's something more.
Yeah.
And you need to make that, you got to make that next move into the something new.
Right.
Otherwise, instead of, bouncing and being able to use the energy that you have, just like the ball, you become stagnant.
Right.
And you don't gain any momentum.
Right. And that stagnant piece, I know that's the challenging piece because, again, there are so many people that I know who have been doing a job for a long time.
And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. As long as that job continues to give you energy, as long as that place that you're working or whatever you're doing, it continues to be the thing that, when you wake up every single day, you still enjoy it. Because when it's not, that kind of
and you're not going to like all the parts of it.
No.
But like we tell people all the time, you got to pick your poison.
Yes.
Like, what are you willing, to deal with? And I hear you tell people all the time, like, what is it that you would do if you never got paid? What would you wake up every day?
That's right.
And go to and do, even if you never got a paycheck for it.
Let me ask you.
We don't always find that.
Well, let me ask you real
Most
quick.
people don't.
Growing up, is what you're doing now what you thought you would always be doing?
No. Growing up, I had this idea that I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I think who I am on the inside is a teacher.
Is a teacher, yeah.
And I've used it in every area. Whether it's curriculum development or, teaching through leading,
Right.
or, you know, when I was in law enforcement and, you know, I became a certified law enforcement instructor for the state of Georgia, like literally worked in professional development and doing trainings.
Yep.
And even now, as I am studying to be a licensed professional counselor, there's a lot of teaching. Like I do psychoeducation right now because it's the lane that I can be in. And I feel very comfortable in that place. And although I'm not a traditional teacher, somehow inside of my child brain, I knew it was a gift I had. And I used to play being a teacher.
Right.
Like, did you ever, like, you know, play out things that you're kind of doing now?
You know, it's funny. I was actually talking to a gentleman I went to high school with. We hadn't talked, man, probably since high school. So that's been years ago, right? A couple years ago. But the one thing that he said he started following, you know, our podcast. So he's watching the things that we're doing. He's watching some of the things that I'm doing on motivation, leadership. And he said this. He said, man, you've been doing this as long as I've known you. And it really made me stand back a little bit because I was like, tell me more about that. He said, man, even when you were in high school.
Did you hear that great counselor phrase he just used? Tell me more about
Tell me more, right? Yeah. But he was like, you know, even in high school, you were doing this very same thing. You were inspiring people. You were supporting people. You were motivating people. And I didn't think about it, but I guess I was, right? So I think the life that I live now, I am playing out a lot of that. Even though, you know, when I was young, I didn't say, you know what, I'm gonna inspire people one day. I don't ever remember saying that because it goes back to something you said. It's just who we are.
Yeah, it's in you.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, like if you are in a place, you know, where you are trying to bounce back,
right,
or you're searching to have that energy, to have a little pep in your step,
right,
a little more bounce to the ounce,
more bounce to the ounce, more bounce. That was okay. Back.
It's like a 15-second timeout.
Yeah.
You need to think back to that kind of first love sort of thing,
right?
And it may not look like what it would in a traditional sense,
right?
But look for it maybe in other things or other ways that you can express the thing, the calling, the gifts that you have.
Yeah.
You know, I tell a lot of people, like, you know, maybe you have been working at, I don't know, let's give a shout out to Mohawk. You've been working in the carpet industry for 20 plus years or 25, and you're like 2 years from retiring.
Right.
You know, nobody's saying you should give up, you know, your retirement and all that to, like, you know, jump out and chase some wild dream.
Right.
But how can you take the calling or the gifts that you have and express them and utilize them somewhere in the world? Yeah. And that'll give you your bounce back because those next 2 years on your job where you're feeling a little bit disenfranchised, you're ready to move on, but it's not time yet, that it'll give you the energy that you need to fulfill that assignment. Yeah. And also give you that thing to look forward to as you go into a space of retiring.
That's good.
So it doesn't always look like what you think it's going to look like. And, you know, be okay with that. Like, let down your expectations. Right. There's going to be complete silence during the podcast, and the dogs aren't going to bark, and the grandson isn't going to scream to the top of his lungs.
I don't know if y'all can hear him screaming, but he's going in about now.
He's going ham. Yeah, he's going ham.
So let me ask you this.
No people are being harmed. I just had to interject because I just wanted you to know no one in the Edge household. Please do not dial 911. Please do not send them to where we live if you know where we live. Thank you.
So let me ask you this, especially as we talk about resilience and being able to bounce back, right? I know, you know, and we've talked a little bit about this. You know, I remember as you have transitioned in some of your jobs, it wasn't always the easiest of transitions, and I know one in particular. That part, yes. Yeah. You know, it was tough. You know what I mean? So I just want to ask, how did you bounce back, or how do you continue to bounce back, right? Because especially as we're talking about this audience, I'm certain that there are some people who are watching us, listening to us, who are in a place where it feels like everything is gone. It feels like they've lost everything. Like how can you help people to bounce back, or at least share how you did it? Have you been asking yourself, how can you really help Carrie and I? Well, if you've been asking that question, let me tell you how you can help us. You can help us with a monthly contribution to help us to continue to build this platform and the Runway platform. There are 3 levels of contribution. The support level, $4.99 a month. The crew level, $6.99 a month, or the booster level, $9.99 a month. Listen, your contribution goes to helping us to further this platform, further the Runway platform, continue to create a safe space for people to come, for people to grow, for people to be developed. If you are feeling this in your shana now right now, go ahead to the description box, hit the button that says support the cause. Listen, we need your help.
Yeah, so I think my belief is that resilience, it is a way of being or an attitude in which you look at life and how you approach things. And so my approach to make me more adaptable was to literally one day at a time and one thing at a time. So what can I do today to show that I'm grateful for my existence?
Yeah.
And that I have value, because that's the big thing. Like when you don't have any bounce or when you fall down, it can be so damaging to your self-esteem and to your feeling of worth and value. And so when you're feeling like you're worthless or you have no value, you need to intentionally look for things
that are going to give you that
that are going to boost
value.
that are going to give you that bounce in that area. And so for me, like literally, I mean, I've told the story, but I gave blood. I went and read at the schools.
Right.
I found ways to volunteer and invested myself in things in the community that were important to me. What little thing could I do today? And then ultimately, I found something that I enjoyed.
Right.
And I invested myself into that new thing. Like I said before, finding the new thing that it fulfills the gift or the call that you feel that you have inside of you. And so for me at that time, I became a personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Yep.
And I found what was my love and had kind of given me a spark in working out to help other people do the same thing and begin to achieve their goals. Because what I found is that beyond a teacher, if I can help, if I can be a helper, I am fulfilled.
Right.
And, the other part of the bounce back is just having a heightened level of self-awareness. So you don't fall prey into your own stinking thinking and stinking speaking that you do.
Yeah.
Because it can translate into maladaptive or dysfunctional behaviors.
Yeah, I think that's a key piece right there. Ensuring that we don't fall into our own personal stinking thinking, and because we can go there, we can begin to create movies. You said something, and I thought it was extremely key, where you were speaking about, not allowing yourself to get stuck in that place where you didn't have self-worth. Right. Because at the end of the day, we all have value. It doesn't matter. Right. A job does not determine your value or self-worth.
And that required a paradigm shift, because my perspective was that the job gave me value and the title.
Yeah.
And I can remember distinctly God saying the only title you need is child of God.
Wow.
And so I felt like I wasn't anything, because I went from a place of having a title and having had a title and having felt like I was somebody to some people. And now I suddenly was no one to anyone.
Yeah.
But I really was. And so it took a paradigm shift and a different perspective. Now, I know for you in 2020, during the midst of the pandemic, you had an experience that will resonate with a lot of people who, similarly to you, you know, we're forced to have to make a shift as companies begin to think about downsizing.
Yeah. And I know for me that was a difficult season, you know, especially when you're doing good work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Never had a negative performance review, always been, you know, superior in the way that I performed, and I value that. You know, that was something that I took pride in, right? Being able to go, saving the company, you know, a lot of money, you know.
Way more than they were paying you.
Yes, a lot of, I mean, so even as the pandemic had started to come and, you know, we're seeing things, I was, you know, I would be here in my office racking my brains to try to figure out how can I, number one, make sure we don't lose people. Number two, make sure people are getting paid, because at the end of the day, people have families. You know, I don't want to lay off anybody or any of those things. And I remember, you know, I forgot the total number that I wound up having to lay off, but it was a large percentage of my staff of 65 people. And that was hard, you know, to have to make a phone call and to share with them, hey, listen, it's not anything that you did wrong.
Right.
You know, however, we don't know what's going on. I mean, you know, we got this new virus and it's taking people out, and, you know, so, you know, I was working with the people and, you know, trying to make sure they get unemployment, because again, people have lives. So I think we wound up having maybe 25, 30 people left from that 65 people. And, I did the best that I could, you know, continue to save money. And, you know, I'll never forget, man, my boss's boss called me one day, and I was like,
you know, if the boss's boss called.
Yeah. You know, I was like, that's kind of odd that my boss's boss is calling. What is going on here? But I didn't think anything of it. You know, he called and I was just like, hey, you know, what's going on? And, you know, we're talking, and he just, you know, he hit me with, you know, hey, you know, things aren't going well. And I was like, yeah, I know. You know, tell me about it.
It's not easy letting these people
Had to lay these folks off, had to do this, had to do that. He's like, yeah, you know. And then he starts talking, and I was like, oh,
it's the talk.
Oh, the talk.
The talk.
So
we're not talking about birds and bees.
Right. No, not the birds and the bees. Like this is the talk. So literally, you know, he's like, you know, Philip, you know, we're gonna have to eliminate your position. And I get it from a business perspective. You know, you're trying to sustain the business, right? I get it. I understand that. It still didn't feel good.
No.
Especially when I'm stopping and I'm saying, but I've given my everything for 20 years to this company. And, you know, there are times where I've missed things with the family and the kids.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know, like so.
Lots of things.
Right. So in my mind, I'm like, I've given everything. And this is, I mean, even as recent as, you know, the past couple of days at that point, you know what I'm saying? Trying to save money for the company. And this is what we're doing here. And you know, I had to be careful because my mind at that time, it wandered, you know, and I was like, yeah, but you kept so-and-so. And, you know, and I'm being honest, I'm like, and they sucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want to blame other people.
Right. You
point
kept
fingers.
You kept this person, but you're letting me go. You know what I mean? Like you could do whatever you want to do. And but I had to go back to, no, this is a business decision. Right. And the interesting thing, no, it's not personal. Right. Which that's the very thing that my mind wanted to bring in. My mind wanted to say, this is personal. And, you know, they're trying to get rid of you. But I was like, no, I've done phenomenal work. I've been a stellar employee for the company. I've been a great spokesperson for the company. You know what I mean? And it's not personal. It's business. And the thing that so many people, we have to understand many times, especially when we allow the business to be the thing that we identify or identified by.
Right. Listen, when it becomes who you are.
Who you are. Right. The business becomes your identity. That's a problem.
That's dangerous.
You know, it's very dangerous, because what I've realized, and, you know, it wasn't necessarily this situation, but it helped, right? What I've realized, especially business is business, and business is not personal. And at any given moment, if you are not in control of your own destiny, if you will, I'm doing the air quotes, right?
Yeah.
People gonna get rid of you.
Yeah, if it doesn't make dollars,
it
doesn't
don't make sense. That's right. So you are replaceable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the big thing that people need to know. Like, you're replaceable.
Yeah.
I don't care how dope you are. You're replaceable, right?
And you gotta understand that. And the thing that, looking back, hindsight.
Yeah.
So when I said, sometimes these things are setups.
They are setups
for our come up.
Yes.
And, what you didn't share was that just a few years prior to that, you had changed divisions because the division you were moving from was struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the division you were comfortable there.
Yeah.
You wanted to be there, but at the urging and encouragement, you moved to an arm of the company that was making money, that was solid.
That exactly. They weren't going anywhere.
They weren't going anywhere. And in making that move, what you didn't know, and now you do, really was a setup for you to come into this space.
Yeah, it really was. And honestly, I know personally, I've been really praying about this space, whether it's podcasting, whether it's leadership and people development, whether it's being able to do consulting. Those, that's what we do with Edge and Associates now. I've been praying about that for years.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do that,
but you didn't
for years.
execute.
No, I didn't.
You were losing your bounce.
Yes.
Because you were giving all of your energy to a company who tomorrow would replace you.
Yes. And thinking and looking back, hindsight, I was definitely running out of steam.
You were.
And I mean, if the truth be told, I did not want to be there. But I stayed there because, you got to pay bills, you got to,
Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Listen, you all are staying in the place that you're in because you're scared.
Yeah. Fear
is the motivator
thing.
Because
absolutely.
The dream had been inside of you for years.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't execute.
Right.
And that's why I said it's a setup for your come up.
Yeah. Because
you wouldn't take the plunge. I wouldn't have taken the plunge.
Right.
I'd be in the same place.
Right.
At the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like literally glass ceiling. I've been in so many positions. I've been really blessed.
Right.
To be, at the top of things that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And, but with that comes the fact that, going in, you're at the top.
You're at the top. That's right.
So you either have to be okay with being there and find ways to maintain your bounce.
Right.
Maintain that energy.
Yeah.
And want to be there.
Yeah.
Or you have to be okay with being resilient and adaptable.
Yeah.
And making the change when it's time for the change.
It's when I stop and I think back, 2020, August 2020 to be exact. When the transition for me happened and occurred, I was probably, it was like getting punched in the nose. You know what I'm saying? I started watering, a little unstable. But it was so interesting because the moment that it happened, I'll never forget. I think I shared this with you. I said, I'm never going to allow any place, any person, any individual to have that kind of power over me ever again in life. And I said, you know what? I'm betting on me. And I think those are the words that I used 2 years ago. I'm betting on me.
And
right?
you've used that same phrase, on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bet on yourself.
Bet on yourself. You know what I mean?
You. Yeah.
And for me, it was a challenge. It literally, especially when we first started out. Now I was blessed by the company. They did give me a severance. You know what I'm saying? I was blessed. To be able to, walk out, and I had.
We stretched it.
Yeah, had some months, so that was okay. But at the end of the day, you knew those months were running out. You know what I mean? So I knew that I had to figure out a way to make it happen, because we had to eat, and I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but I know there were some moments, where I was like, look, if I have to go to Walmart or McDonald's or wherever.
Whatever I gotta do.
You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to do whatever I gotta do because what the song say? I ain't too proud to beg.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's real.
I had those moments in about 2012, 2013. And I can remember just being disheartened when I'm like, man, I can't even get a call back from, like a restaurant, or whatever. But, having that willingness to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that's another component of resilience. To be able to be humble enough to say whatever it takes for me to get to the next level. Because let's face it, entrepreneurship, owning your own business, it's not all glam and glory.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it can be feast, and other times it is superdy duperdy 40 years of famine.
Yeah.
Where you're worried about, are you going to be able to pay the house note, the car payments, those sorts of things. And you have to be fully committed. Yeah,
you got to be all in.
And you need to be all into whatever you do. And I just believe that God honors that when we're all in. And when you feel that your all in is wavering, it is really time for you to figure out how to get your bounce back and find that new thing.
Yeah.
That is your calling. That is the thing that you would get up every day for, even if you never got paid.
So let us ask you this. What are you doing right now to either A, keep your bounce, right? And you're bouncing real good, or what are you going to do if your bounce is starting to wane and it's running out, right? Let us know. You can put it in the comments box if you want to. You can definitely hit us in the DM, the private DM. Just let us know. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what you have going on. I don't care if you're waning right now, if you're looking right now. What you need to know is that you will bounce back. You were built for the bounce back. You were built to literally go down. Here's the thing, and I want you to hear this. You can go down. You can fall down, but you can't stay there, y'all.
You don't live there.
You got to get up. Yeah, you don't live there.
You don't live there. It's time to get up.
It's time to get up. So if you are watching this session today and you feel like you're down and out, we just want to encourage you, let you know that you can bounce back. Listen, you're looking at two people who have had to bounce.
And be willing to recreate yourself and have a paradigm shift. Look at it differently. It's all about perspective.
Got to get that bounce.
That's right. I really do hope that you found this session, this podcast, our time together, a true blessing. And speaking of blessings on top of blessings, how about a little energy? Here we go. It's the Edge Energy Shot for ya.
In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things that people really desire from leadership that will help to make a big difference in your company and how they perceive you. And I have some tips for you today on what people really want from leaders. It might sound like common knowledge, but it's something that, we don't always consider when leading others. These are the things that we all crave as people on a deep subconscious level. And if you give these things to your teams and customers, they will be loyal to you for life. So watch till the end of this video and find out the 5 things that can be game changers for you, your team, and your business. As a leader, you set the tone for your team. Your words and actions have a direct impact on how your team members work together and interact with customers. As much, it's important to be aware of 5 things your teams need in order to be successful. The first thing your team needs is trust. Your team needs to be able to trust that you have their best interests at heart and will make decisions that are in the best interest of the company and organization. They also need to trust that you're competent and capable of leading them in the right direction. Look, I don't know about you all, but don't nobody want to go in the wrong direction. The second need is respect. Your team needs to feel respected both by you and by each other. They need to feel like their opinions are valued and that they're a valuable part of the team. If your team does not feel valuable, they won't want to be there. So do your part and make sure that your team has a voice and they feel valuable. The third thing is communication. Your team needs to be able to communicate openly and honestly with you and with each other. They need to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas, and they need to feel confident that you'll listen to them and take their suggestions into account. Listen, if your team is not talking to you, they're probably talking to someone about you. And listen, that's never good. If you and your business are stuck, go have a conversation with the people who do this every single day. They're not only your team, but they're your first line of defense in keeping your business afloat. The fourth need is support. Your team needs to feel supported by you and by each other. They need to know that they can come to you for help when they need it and that you'll be there for them. They also need to feel like you're part of the team that's there for each other. Did you hear that? They need to feel like you are a part of the team, not just cracking the whip to make the team do all the work. You know, it's amazing what your presence by itself will do. When your team is working and they're working hard, when they see you there beside them, it does something to energize the team and to let the team know that we're all in this together. And the fifth thing your team needs is recognition. Your team needs to feel appreciated for their hard work. They need to know that you recognize and appreciate their efforts and that you're grateful for everything that they do to help your company succeed. A lot of people think that money is the answer for employees, but honestly, it's just a simple thank you. A thank you will go a long way to encouraging, motivating, and getting your employees to give their best. Leaders, please understand, recognition is your secret weapon. So there you have it, the 5 things that your team needs from you in order to be successful. When done properly, your team will be happy and productive, and your customers, well, they'll be loyal and satisfied. So keep these things in mind as you lead your team and make sure to give them what they need. Well, that's it for today's segment. Hope you enjoyed the Relatively Unknown podcast. Listen, we will be back here next Sunday at 7 p.m. Oh, and don't forget, go ahead to the description box, hit that join button, join the Runway community. Listen, you will not regret it. It's absolutely free to you. And if you do want to support us, hey, listen, you can do that there as well. Man, listen, we will see you all next Sunday. Until then, y'all be easy.